Okay, so let me go over this since I told you wrong yesterday. So this is what we learned yesterday, and then we'll move on to what we're learning today. So yesterday we talked about completing the square. In completing the square, we take all our x's and we put them together in a parenthesis. So x squared plus 10x plus blank plus y squared minus 4y plus blank equals negative 13 plus blank plus blank. So to find the thing that goes in, or to complete the square for x, we would take our b, which is 10, divide it by 2, which would give us 5. We would square 5, and that would give us 25. So I'd put 25 in the parentheses with x. I'd put 25 on my right-hand side. Then I would do the same thing for y. I would take b, which is negative 4. I'd divide that by 2, which would give us a negative 2. I'd square that negative 2, and it would give me 4. So 4 would go in the parentheses with y and on the right-hand side. Okay? Now, writing our equation, this is where I messed you up yesterday. The number that goes in the parentheses with the equation is exactly what you got when you divided by 2. So this would be x plus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared. And then we're doing negative 13 plus 25 plus 4. So I know 25 plus 4 is 29. I add 13, and that gives me 16. Now, the center still swaps, so our center would be negative 5, comma 2, and then to get the radius, we'd take the square root of 16, which would give us 4. And so now we're graphing like we did yesterday. We'd go left 5 and up 2, put our dot, and then our radius would go out 4 in every direction. Okay, and there's our circle. So let's try one more of those where we're not swapping what our b is when we put it in the equation. So for number 1, we take our terms that look alike, which is x squared plus 2x. We put it in a parentheses, and then we put plus blank so we can complete the square. Then plus y squared minus 8y plus our blank equals 19, and since we have 2 blanks on our right-hand side, on our left-hand side, we have to also put them on our right-hand side. Now all we have to do is complete the square. So to complete the square, I take 2 divided by 2, which gives me 1, and then I also have to square that. 1 squared is 1. So I get plus 1 here, plus 1 here. Then I do the same thing for y. So I do negative 8 divided by 2, which gives me a negative 4. I square 4, and that gives me a positive 16. So I put positive 16 in the parentheses with y, positive 16 on my right-hand side. Now, to write my equation, the number that goes in the parentheses with x is what we got when we divided b by 2. So x plus 1 squared plus y minus 4 squared, and then I'm doing 19 plus 1 plus 16, which gives me 36. Okay? So now, when I find my center, it is the opposite of what's in the parentheses. So it would be negative 1, comma 4. And my radius I would get when I take the square root of 36. So the square root of 36 is 6. Now all we have left to do is to graph our circle. So we're going left 1, up 4, put a point. And then from there we're going out 6 in every direction.
So the one that we did today differs because we do swap it when we put it in the equation or no?
No, it's the same. Okay, so now I'm going to go over 2 examples of what we did today. It is similar to the same thing, we just move them around. So let's look at number 1. So for number 1, not all of our x's are clumped together and all of our y's clumped together, so we have to figure out what goes with what. So I want to make sure my x's are together and then my y's are together in the parentheses. So once I identify those, I'm going to write it as x squared plus 10x plus blank plus y squared plus 8y plus blank. And then this 40, we actually wanted that on the other side. So if we moved it to the other side, it would change signs and it would be negative 40. Then we'd add our 2 blanks to balance out both sides. Okay, so to complete the square for x, I'm going to take my b, which is 10, divide it by 2. That gives me 5. I'm going to square 5, which gives me 25. So 25 would go in the blank with the x's, and 25 would be going here. Okay, now we want to finish the y. So we're going to do 8 divided by 2. And that gives me 4. Then we're going to square 4, and that gives me 16. So I'm going to put 16 on my left-hand side. I'm also going to put 16 on my right-hand side. So when I write my equation, I'm going to write x, and then when I divided b by 2, I got 5. So this would be plus 5 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 16. So I didn't swap, I kept them the same as what I had. Then when I get to my center, that's when I swap it. So it becomes negative 5, negative 4. And then my radius is going to be what I get when I take the square root of 16, which gives us 4. So I would graph negative 5, negative 4. And then from there, I would go out 4 in every direction. And then draw my circle. Okay, and so then on the back, we have problems where the leading coefficient is not 1 and they need to be 1. So what we're going to do in order to get my leading coefficient to be 1 is we're going to divide by the number that is in front all the way through. So 5 is my leading coefficient, so I would divide everything by 5. And that would give me x squared plus y squared plus 8y minus 9 equals 0. Then I want to identify which terms go together. I only have one x, so this would stay x squared. Then I would put plus parentheses y squared plus 8y. Then I'm going to have to put plus blank because I'm completing the square. Then I actually want this 9 to be moved over. So when I move it over, it becomes a positive 9. Since I'll only have one blank on my left-hand side, I would only have one blank on my right-hand side. So I would take b, which is 8, divide that by 2, and it would give me 4. I would have to square 4, which gives me 16. So I'd put 16 on my left-hand side, 16 on my right-hand side. So when I write my equation, I'm not going to have a parentheses with x. It will just be x squared plus, then I'll have a parentheses for y, and it would be y, since we got 4 when we divided b by 2, this would be plus 4. Close our parentheses, squared, equals, and then 9 plus 16 gives me 25. So my center, since there's no number with x, would be 0, comma, negative 4. My radius, if I take the square root of 25, would be 5. So I'd graph my center at 0, negative 4, which means I go down 4 on my y-axis, put a point, and from there I would go out 5 in every direction. And then draw my circle. And just make sure that it is rounded and does not look like a square.